You're most welcome on top of Murchison Falls, and my name is Simon. Here we do have two trails. There's the shortest trail that will take you to top of the falls. It's about 200 meters walk, where you get to the main falls at the top, the gorge of Murchison Falls. Then we do have the one to the right, 400 meters. That will take you for a hike. Get on flat surface, see the waters after the falls, the panoramic view, and later we shall move further onto a cliff, where we shall have the site of the twin falls. Main Murchison Falls, and then the independence of the exit of the both falls, much more closer than one will watch from the boat. And later we shall walk back over the second cliff to top of the falls and see the main falls at the top. Okay, as you are going, we have the do's and don'ts. You are free to take photos, so we shouldn't move on the edge of the cliff. You get to move till it's in the middle of the trail. Once we reach the top of the falls, there are a lot of slippery rocks. We shall have to move carefully. Then littering. If you have maybe bottle of water, biscuits or sweets, after having, please don't throw it down. We have litter bins all over. Drop them in the litter bin. Otherwise, you're most welcome. Feel free, enjoy your time. We are at the viewpoint, the first viewpoint of the hike. Right behind me is the Nile after the falls. Further down, that island to the left, that's where the boats usually dock. The boats right from the bridge until the bottom of the falls is 14 kilometers boat ride. Visitors always stop there and then they move back. Right behind me is the Independence Falls, popularly known as Uhuru Falls. That's the Kiswahili version, Kiswahili word for independence and freedom. That falls was formed in 1962. It wasn't originally before. According to records, in 1907, when Winston Churchill visited the gorge of Murchison Falls, on seeing the gorge at the beginning of the falls, he said that 10 pounds would throw a metallic bridge across Murchison Falls. And a simple structure, just a metallic one. And indeed, in 1954, a bridge was constructed and the cost was 10 pounds. People will cross over the other side, stay on the rocks and come back. And during that time, the volume of the Nile was so low that all the water was passing through Murchison Falls. And when the bridge was built, people would come and cross over. Unfortunately, it lasted for only 8 years. 1961, 62, there was heavy rain and floods. Since the gap where the bridge was built was 9 meters, it was so narrow that it couldn't accommodate all the water. It swept off the bridge. And the force of water created two channels to the right of Murchison Falls that ended up forming the second falls. Since its formation coincided with Uganda's independence of 1962, that's why the name either Independence or Freedom Falls. And I said before, the Kiswahili version is Uhuru Falls. This writing is all about Sir Samuel and Florence Baker's trail to Murchison Falls. According to records, Sir Samuel Baker was a British explorer, officer, an engineer, and a writer. Meanwhile, Lady Florence Baker was his second wife. He had saved her from the slave market in Central Europe. And instead of staying at home, she insisted in joining him on his exploits in Africa. It so happened that the year 1864, when he was sent by Murchison to Uganda, the entry point was from the north, that was from Sudan by then. He entered from Sudan. If you follow this trail on the map, he entered from Sudan, then he moved via Golo, Karuma Falls, Masindi, down to Lake Albert to meet the king. So with the help of the king, he was able to see the lake. And before he could name it Lake Albert, the local name for the lake was Mwitanzige, which literally means in English that The lake that killed locusts, he named it Lake Albert, after Queen Victoria's husband, who had then died. With the help of the king and the subjects and the local people, they were able to tell him if they could row the canoe northwards along the lake, they reached the last end of the lake where they will see a river entered from the east, which is the Victoria Nile. And it took them 12 days to row the canoe northwards until they reached the bottom of the falls. On seeing the falls then, he named it Murchison Falls, in memory of Sir Roderick Murchison, who was the president of the Royal Geographical Society and the sponsor of the explorers. Before he could name it, the local name was Pajok. That's a Luo name from northern side of the Nile, which literally means the place of the evil spirits. During those times, the elders from the Luo side, the Acholi side, they are so much into the falls, into the waters. So on seeing the falls during that time, they believe that they are evil spirits because you get span of water passing through a narrow gorge with that thunderous noise, and it was so scary to them. And during that time, they believe that there are evil spirits in the falls. That's why they gave that name. Well, right now we are at the end of the cliff where you get to see the best view for the Twin Falls, the main Murchison Falls and the Independence Falls. Right here is the main Murchison Falls. And if you look at that gorge at the exit, that's the narrowest point of the entire Nile, which is 6 to 7 meters wide. And the average volume of water coming through the narrow gorge of Murchison Falls is 300 cubic meters a second. And that is taken during the peak dry spell, when temperatures get higher as 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, to the left is the Independence Falls, which, as I said before, was created due to flood in 1962 and is approximately 12 to 15 meters wide. And if you compare the two falls, you're able to judge it out, which one could be having more water. Definitely is the main Murchison Falls. If you look at the Independence Falls, you may think it has more water. That if you look at the width of the both falls, Independence Falls is wider. Meanwhile, Murchison Falls has a very narrow gorge. That means it has much more water than the Independence Falls. Right now, we're at the Devil's Cauldron. This is a place where the visitors get to have a good view of the rainbow. Rainbow is usually formed due to two factors. There are two factors that form the rainbow. We have the sun rays and the water vapor. And so it's the reflection of sun rays against the vapor. Thus the end result will be seeing the rainbow. In the afternoon, we always see it when you're at the Devil's Cauldron. But in the morning, you see it better, the opposite direction, the opposite side of the Devil's Cauldron. And right now, we're going to move to the beginning of the falls where the bridge was. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the top of Murchison Falls where the footbridge was. At the beginning of the falls, where you see water splashing higher, is a concrete pillar where the bridge was built. And right from here, the beginning of the falls, the height is 45 meters. And the exit is the narrowest point of the entire Nile, which is 6 to 7 meters wide. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. And especially for those who are here for the first time, please, you'll be our ambassadors out there. I request, wherever you go out, you're able to tell others about Murchison Falls, about the way we walk, and the sights we saw, especially hiking to see the top of Murchison Falls, where you get to see the main Murchison Falls, the gorge, and then up hiking, seeing the exit of the two falls, which we usually call, we prefer calling the twin falls, the main Murchison Falls and the Independence Falls. I hope the next time you come back, let's hope the trail from the hiking, from the boat, will be open. You'll begin from the boat and then come up to quite more interesting and epic. Please and please, you're most welcome. And thanks for coming. Please safe journey back to your respective destinations. Thank you.